Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Next Level Podcast. And today we're going to try and provide as much value as we can for you guys. So I have something I want to talk about. I was noticing that the interest levels are rising really high. And right now, where are we? Like at a 7.8?
Yeah, I mean, it's fluctuating heavily between 7.5 and 8%. So,
And I'm noticing that is slowing down the market drastically. Do you see the same thing I'm seeing?
yeah, definitely. When you're on the ground, you have less calls. The buyers just aren't excited about buying a property at 8% right now.
And why is that? Do you know why?
Why are the buyers not excited?
Yeah.
Well, interest rates are higher, so their payments are higher.
Yeah.
So it's less affordable.
Yeah, so, if somebody's going to buy a house or rent, it doesn't make as much sense to necessarily buy right now. And so, I mean, there's advantages always to buy a property. But if someone's just squeaking by or, they're on the edge whether they should buy their first house and they're like, man, what if prices do go down? Should I pull the trigger at a high rate or should I just continue to rent? Comfortability will tell them, let's just stay renting.
Mm-hmm.
But we're investors, right? So as investors, we look at interest rates. They affect us as well. Mm-hmm. We have to buy properties. We have to borrow money. And then the long-term rates, they're much higher. So when is that better?
Yep.
Okay. And so when we analyze a property, they're not making as much sense because if you were getting 5% before because nothing was paying in the bank, now you can get 5% in the bank. Why would you take risk as an investor to get a 1% higher?
Yeah.
So there's definitely some headwinds. I wouldn't let that scare you completely out of the market because there are deals. So we know when interest rates go up, they're trying to push prices down. Affordability, is lower. So somebody can't buy a house at $300,000 at 5%. Their house payment is probably at least $600 or $700 higher at 8%. So. Yeah, no, it's definitely the Fed wants to slow down the housing market, and they're accomplishing that. So,
So how is it affected? How would you say it's affected us as investors?
well, I mean, we have to be really discreet on what we're buying. Our spreads, what we can offer people to purchase their home. It has to make sense for us. So that's one thing. It changes our values, but when we talk to other investors and we're pitching them deals and they don't seem as lucrative anymore at 5 and 6%, so you really have to get them at a steeper discount. So you have to buy lower.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
We can still buy. It's just gonna have to be at
Steeper.
a lower price.
Yeah, at a steeper rate. And the interest rates, with them being higher, you mentioned to us that the people that are hit the hardest a lot of times are the higher end housing because a percent or two in a rate can increase the monthly payment drastically more than obviously a lower valued home.
Yeah, let's run some calculations. Let's put it to the test. So if we bring out the calculator and let's say a $200,000 property, right?
Okay.
200,000. And then, okay, what am I doing here to find out?
You want to find a interest rate?
Yeah, the difference between like how much like just 2% increase changes
So
things.
just do $200,000 house and do what were the rates before? Like, I don't know, let's say 5%. So do 5% figure and put in.
At 5%, 200,000 per thousand, you would times that by, divide it by, just take 200,000. So per thousand, it's $65 per thousand. So you would do 200 times 65. Just 200 times 65. Not 200,000, 200.
Oh, did I write something else? 200,000?
No, just 200 times 65.
Oh, 200 times 65. 13,000.
1,300.
1,300.
So you're about 1,300 a month. Okay. Now you take that same rate and you're probably borrowing it at, let's just say at 8%, you're probably looking closer to $95 per 100. So 200 times 95. You're looking at about 1,900.
So it's a $600 increase with the rates going for a $200,000 house from the rates going from 5% to 8%.
Yeah. So imagine you were okay. So say 2 years ago, you're renting a $200,000 house. You're renting for, let's just say $1,300,
Mm-hmm.
and you could buy it, and you were paying $1,300. So it made sense. You might as well buy the property.
Mm-hmm.
Same price, right?
Right.
Now the same thing. Say rents did go up. Say rents went up to $1,600. Let's just say they went up 30%. Let's say they go to $1,600, another $300.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can rent that house for $1,600. But now with the interest rate being what it is, it's now $1,900 a month.
Yeah. So you'd be bleeding every month, not including.
You're bleeding if you're an investor, and that's why it affects us so much. But
Yeah.
if you're just a regular, homeowner,
Yeah.
you're making that decision. You're like, wow, I think, who knows if I'm going to be here for a long time. Maybe you're only going to be there for a year or two.
Yeah.
Will I be able to sell it when I leave? And then if I have to go rent it out at that point, my mortgage is $1,900 and rent's only $1,600.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way it doesn't make sense mathematically.
Yeah. Yeah. So that it makes a big deal. It's a big deal, obviously, for investors, but as well as those who aren't investors. I mean, $600 increase in payment. I think that's why a lot of people, not only on the buy side, but me and the team on acquisitions talk to a lot of people on the sales side. It's like, yeah, I've been thinking about selling, though. Where am I going to go, and is that going to be good for me and my family?
Yeah, that's the big like question.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll ask you guys, and you guys are just we're take care of our families, and we ask, are you going to trade let's just say you have a 3.5% rate.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to trade that for 7.5%, 8%?
Unless you need to, unless you really need to move.
Exactly.
Unless you really need to sell, really need to buy right now. Tell me if you disagree, but I think might as well just.
Yeah.
That's the majority of the United States. I think
Mm-hmm.
65 or 75% of people that have a mortgage is under 4. So what is their motivation to move?
Yeah, it's tough, man. Can
Yeah.
you move? You can't.
Unless you're moving, like relocating for a job,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're first-time home buyer.
Yeah, it's you're putting yourself in a harder situation.
Yeah, unless you absolutely say you had a child, so you're at a 3-bedroom, and maybe you need a 4 or 5-bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
so you have to do it,
Yeah.
and maybe you can afford to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of families that can't, so they're just staying put.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I think the thing that we run across are people who are in need to sell, as from the investors, from the acquisition side. And a lot, like we were talking about it this morning, a lot of our buyers, like when we assign properties, a lot of our buyers, they have capital to use right now. But the challenge is finding deals at a good price. And I think to the public, it's setting in that, hey, values are going down.
Yeah.
I'd rather it be the public know, like, okay, rates are high, so my prices are going down, so I should reduce my price on what I'm asking, or vice versa. Okay, prices are going up, so I know that I can sell my property for higher. But the worst part is being in the middle, when the public hasn't caught up to the public yet that, hey, prices are coming down, so they're still asking for more, and we're providing offers for less,
Right.
because we know. So
Exactly. And this is what happens when we do that, right? we look at the data, we look at the properties, we see the pattern that the prices are going down, and we account for that, and we give them an offer where it has to be, and then they don't take it. They're like, no, I'm just gonna leave it up on the MLS, or I'm gonna see what happens, or whatever it is, right? They call us back again 2 months later, 1 month later, 3 months later. We go back in the market. Now the offer that we had given them initially is much lower, because now we see where the properties have gone in value, and what we thought it was going to sell at, we find out no, they're not even selling at that price. They're still sitting there. They're not even moving. So now they come back to us and they're like, okay, fine, I'll take your offer that you're telling us about. Now we're like, well, that was like a month ago. That was before we even found out. Now we have data. Now we know. Look, this is what it is, and they go and they search it themselves, and then they find out, dang, these guys are telling the truth. So now they got no choice. So I don't know. Maybe sometimes, taking it right then and there was probably the best thing to do rather than waiting and then now you got less.
Right. And so to back it up, I mean, we see it at a higher level because we have a lot of different properties, but what's actually selling, people don't, if they don't have to sell, so the broader market, they're not putting it for sale. They're just holding on to it, or they'll just take it off. You'll see a lot of expireds right now because prices, I mean, they're not tanking. They're just not appreciating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really the properties, just for viewers and people listening, it's for properties that are not in great shape. They're the ones getting hit the hardest, right? Because we're seeing still, if a property is like flipped, beautiful, move-in ready, just like in a really desired area, those are still moving.
Yeah.
But if it has, if it needs $10,000-$15,000 in work,
Yeah.
and that's not much, right? Before you're like, oh, it only needs 10 or 15,000. But if it needs 10 or 15,000, like anything with that type of rehab budget or more is definitely taking that hit.
The property's got to be pretty and it's got to be in a great location. Those will move.
Yes, those will move.
And great priced.
And great price.
Great
And
price,
so
yeah.
the other thing that's holding the market, so we're in an environment where any other period in time when you have, rates jump like they have, prices would have plummeted. We'd have seen already like a 10% correction. And you might see like plus 0.1%, 0.2%, like prices still creeping up a little bit for 2023. I think a national average, they're still up like 4 or 5%, which is relatively good in a market. But they should have dropped and fallen through the bottom. But they're not because people aren't moving like we talked about. They're just staying put.
Right.
People always need a place to live.
Always.
Right.
Yeah, you always got to have a home. Yeah.
And so low inventory holding the market. It's like supply and demand. You have a lot less buyers, but you have a lot less sellers. So if it went the other way, like a lot of people needing to sell, and you have a lot less buyers, then the prices be dropping.
Now I have a question. Would you say that the properties are they're going down, or are they leveling back to where they're supposed to be?
Well, just like what we said, I mean, I don't think there's a blanket statement for that.
Okay.
I think the statement there is, like we talked about, properties that are not in great shape, that need help, they need a little love, outdated, definitely prices starting to drop. They haven't, maybe 1 or 2%, say on $100,000, say a $250,000 house, let's say they've dropped 5-10 grand, right? But if it's really nice, that same house, same price range, all fixed up, it goes for the price, $250, and maybe even higher. If you might get a little bidding war if it's a slam dunk property that's beautiful.
So would you say right now the best move to do is, if you want to sell your home, just wait, and if you think it's going to sell at a certain price, wait and see if that statement is true. Go online and see if things are actually selling at that price.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has to take their situation into account. But if you have to sell right now, I mean, you're going to get beat up on the market. It's just going to take a long time. I think it's a lot slower roll. I think houses are staying on the market longer. And it also depends on your price. Obviously, if you're the price it's price sensitive. So if it's affordable housing, which that's a crisis in the U.S. Affordable housing, there's no such thing as affordable housing anymore. It's very rare to find. It's in Yuma County, which we used to see houses in $100,000. I mean, you can't find anything with a 1 in front of it anymore. So if it's under $300,000, it moves. If it's over $450,000, it's got to be pretty.
And what should investors start thinking about or start preparing for?
Investors will be fine. You just got to if you're going to buy right now, you just got to make sure it's at a discount.
Okay,
to make up for the interest rate. Because the one thing is, if you buy a property and your interest rate is whatever the interest rate is, but if you buy the property and your rent and your mortgage payment is $1,500, you got to be able to rent that out above $1,500 to make sense, right?
Yep.
If it's you do the numbers and you're like, I can only rent that out for $13 and my mortgage is $15, you don't buy it. Why buy it? But we're seeing where we're seeing where you can get opportunity back in is even the properties that needed a lot of work a year or two ago were selling at top dollar. You didn't even have a chance to buy it. Now you have several weeks maybe on the market. You can kind of analyze it to see if there is any offers. You can kind of wait, slow play the seller, put an offer in, maybe for some negotiation. Before you couldn't even negotiate. You had to waive inspections, waive appraisal. Now you can go and say like, hey, like I want that 10-day inspection period, and then if it doesn't come back very well, I want a reduction in my price, or I want this repaired.
Mm-hmm.
So the buyer has a little bit more leverage right now.
Yeah.
Now, tell me what you think. I'm thinking that, let's say for an investor does purchase that property, to set the expectations like, hey, it's taking a while for these, so like for them to know like if I buy this, it's probably going to take 2, 3, 4 months for it to sell because of how slow things are moving right now because of the interest rates.
Yeah, well, the investor, if they're going to flip it.
Yeah, I think you're talking about flip, right?
Yeah, you're talking about flip?
Yeah, they flip it. They have it flipped already. They're going to put it on the market
If it's
now.
beautiful, it's going to sell for that top dollar. But if they don't do anything to it before, you just, slap some paint on it, wipe its butt, and call it a day, you're going to you're going to sell that property.
So it's not really lipsticks anymore. You got to do full remodels now.
I think so. I think you got to add some value to that property. It's got to look very nice and do a good job on it. If you leave something undone, a bathroom untouched, it's going to be a little slow roll. It's going to take you some time to to sell that property.
I gotcha. So if you're wanting to buy a property, you should think about it in terms of full gut remodels rather than lipstick right now.
Yeah, I would agree. That's a true statement.
For flips, yeah. Well, so for somebody listening with the current market that we're in right now, and somebody wants to get into rentals, what would you say is the move, or is that the move?
I mean, we always say when you buy the property is when you make your money. So if you're getting the property, if you can enter into this property right now, you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, more than ever, cash is king just because rates are so high. So if you don't have to borrow money to buy the property, yeah, right now there's going to be a window of opportunity. And I think that window is like probably the next 6 months. Because if rates drop, everybody says that because we have such low inventory, it's just going to be another bidding war. So because there is so many people on the sidelines too, kind of just waiting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you probably talk to friends, families, like maybe yourself, kind of like, I'd buy more, but I'm going to wait a little bit.
Yeah, the thing is, people have been saying that for for years.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the reality of it.
People said that when the rates were like 3%. I'm going to wait till they drop.
Yeah, I never understood that. I mean, because that was historically low. I believe that's not normal, 3%. I believe that we were living in La La Land for a little bit.
Yeah.
And
And
I don't think we'll see that again.
yeah, and a lot of the hedge funds were taking advantage of those. Like they were, at the time in this industry, a lot of the gurus in at least the wholesale and the flip industry, a lot of the gurus, they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna make this course and sell this course, and we're creating so much of this revenue, and then the hedge funds stopped buying. And then and then
they were closing down too, huh?
Yeah, we got caught on one. They were just closing down.
Yeah, there was one transaction. There were 2 properties. That was a tough day.
Yeah.
There were 2 properties, and there were a couple other, but those 2 properties, they were about to close, and that hedge fund happened to stop buying at that very moment.
Yep.
And we're like,
we were just left on the water. Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't responding to title. We talked to their acquisition agent that was buying it, and we're like, hey, what's going on? He's like, I lost my job.
Yeah, the acquisition man. Yeah, I don't work for them no more,
like,
bro.
What do you mean? What do you mean you lost your job?
He's like, they didn't have any money anymore. They stopped all buying.
Dang.
Well, they had money, but those guys, they can track the money moves, and they can put things on pause.
So what happened there?
They're just not hedge funds and like rich, wealthy investors. They don't have to buy. They buy because they have money because they're smart.
Mm-hmm.
But you follow the smart money. So when you see them do that, it's not because they don't want to make money just because they're hedging their bets. That's why they call it a hedge fund. So they're basically like, hey, listen, we made a lot of money. We're going to pause. Let's see what happens. We can afford to. Even if we miss a deal or two, we're okay because we already have a lot of money. And if once conditions or whatever is going on at that time seem a little rocky, unstable, just pause and then they go back in on it when they smell blood in the water. That's just how they are.
Yeah.
These funds have, hundreds of billions of dollars, so they can buy neighborhoods. Yeah. In fact, they were buying neighborhoods. That was making it tough for the average consumer to buy.
Do you think they had to have lost money, right? Because they probably had a bunch of properties locked up, and that happened. They had to get rid of them somehow.
I mean, no, they just backed out like us. They just didn't buy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they just said, take my earnest money and
Yeah.
we'll see.
Rather
later.
take that loss than take $1,000 loss.
Yeah.
100,000, yeah.
Yeah, so say they had, they were going to purchase $100 million worth of property and they lost $1 million in earnest deposits. They don't care. I think Max Maxwell was showing like whole neighborhoods were being built out, like in North Carolina.
I don't know.
Yeah, they were like a developer was building like 100 houses, and a hedge fund would be like, I'll buy them all. They're mine. So then you have to sell them.
Yeah.
Just bought them.
That'd be a pretty good phone call.
Right? That would be a great phone call.
Yeah, how many houses would you like? 100? All right.
Coming right up.
Yeah, they'll be done in 6 months. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, those were some crazy times.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I mean, now an investor, if they're still around, they have to be real savvy. Make sure you're making the right moves.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is your first rental property, I mean, I would still suggest it. There's some deals out there, and you just have to be creative and know exactly what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when times were good, there's some people that are just not built to have a rental.
Mm-hmm.
To be a landlord and to be a property owner, it's not for everybody.
Yeah. There was a guy that told me years ago that we used to say the best time to plant a seed was yesterday.
Yeah.
So like you said, as long as you purchase a property at a steep enough discount, regardless of what the rates are doing, as long as you're smart about it, you'll be all right.
And that definitely matters right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and time. Your time frame is if you're thinking like 1, 2, 3 years. Like if you're moving somewhere and you're like, well, I just got this job, I need to buy a house, and you're like, well, I'm not sure if I like it in Yuma. I moved here from, say, Kentucky or wherever, and you're like, I don't know if I like Yuma, Arizona. I heard it's pretty hot here in the summer, and so
It is?
that's what they tell me. So you think about that individual, and as a friend, you'd be like, well, why don't you check it out and make sure you like it? Because if they come and buy a house to go sell that in a year and say, yeah, you'll sell it for a profit, or you'll don't worry, you won't lose any money.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go out and say that. But if you have a long enough, it's 3, 5, 7 years, history shows, oh man, you should be okay. You'll be able to sell that property.
Yeah, it's a long-term play.
For sure.
So right now, we're telling investors, or we're noticing that lipsticks aren't really what's going to make it move. It's got to be a full gut remodel. So on lipsticks, it varies. Like, it's just maybe cleaning the carpet, maybe just putting flooring, keeping something the same, right? So it kind of varies. But with full gut remodels, you're going to have to, maybe you don't have to change the flooring, but for sure you have to update the bathrooms, maybe update the cabinets. If it's like original or hasn't had an update in a while, everything's pretty much going to have to be updated. Would you say so?
Yeah. I mean, if you got a house that's over 20 years old, you got to start looking things like, you got to start looking at your plumbing, all your fixtures.
Roof.
You got to start looking at your roof. You got to start looking
The AC unit.
at your AC unit. Yeah. So all those components of the house, those are some major systems. That's going to cost some money. You're probably looking at an easy 50 to 70,000.
Okay, that's what I was gonna go to. I was gonna ask, what would you say is because it's full gut remodels right now that they should be focusing on if they're gonna be doing flips? What is the minimum that they should know that they're gonna have to spend because they're gonna have to do a gut remodel?
Yeah, because things have gone up so much. I mean, they're not they're not going up as much as they were in the past, but they've already gone up, so they're higher.
I
So
think it just depends on the.
yeah, on the size of the home. But I would say, like, before we were buying condos and we'd say like 15,000 will do the job.
Mhm.
Yeah, depending if it was a lipstick, yeah.
Yeah, I would say now that's 30 for a full gut remodel, 30,000.
Minimum.
Yeah, minimum
Yeah,
for.
if it's a small, if it's a
Smaller
pretty,
condo.
it's got to be pretty small.
Yeah, I
condo.
mean, we get to 75,000 like pretty quick. You start adding like
Yeah.
roof, AC, bathroom, kitchen, another bathroom. I mean, you're like at 50,000 right there.
And that's all just the materials. You still got to pay for the labor and the work. That's why it adds up to that much that quickly.
Yeah, and there's some risk in that and a lot of money. So, I mean, if you have the cash right now, it is a good time to buy. It is. You can find deals out there. They're laying there for the taking. So, what we've learned in our business is there's always people that need to sell, right?
Mm-hmm.
You run into motivated sellers. Like, what are some things that people are motivated about selling?
Yeah, there's motivated sellers all year long. Like traditional, it slows down. Like for example, in Yuma, maybe when it gets summertime, when it gets hot, people don't want to go outside and check out properties. Or in the wintertime, close to Christmas, New Year, etc. Though in this industry, there's never a time that's slow. Every time of the year, there's who's in a situation where they need to sell.
Yeah. So what situations?
So situations being like pre-foreclosure, probate, somebody passed away, tired landlord, maybe they're working on a flip project and they can't complete it. They ran out of coin.
Yeah, we've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen that. I mean, there's so many scenarios that pop up, but all those, the thing that's in common in all these situations is there's a necessity to sell.
Yeah, there's some urgency.
There's urgency. Yeah, there's motivation.
Yeah, and so those are the sellers you got to find. The person that's like, well, I'll sell it if I get this price, or, I'll just rent it out because maybe they have their mortgage at 3%.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not in a bad spot, right? We just talked about that.
Yeah.
They're like, well, maybe I should just keep it 3% because I put my money in the bank at 5%,
Mm-hmm.
and I can just make my payment with that money. Because I'm only paying 3% to my debtors.
Mm-hmm.
And so it does, you got to definitely have a lot more motivation for those individuals.
Yeah.
To sell. Motivation is key.
And
so
they got to have somewhere to go.
And have somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we see a lot of people moving in with family. They're moving in with, they're like, oh, I'm going to move in with my sister. Or I'm going back and I'm living with my daughter. We see a lot of that multi-generational stuff.
So going back to the rentals, because the interest rate is so high and buying a house is going to have your payments so high, would that be a reason why investors should be looking into rentals right now? Because people are going to need a place to stay, and if they can't buy a house, they're going to have to rent.
Yeah, I think I read an article that said we're like 4.5 or 5 million houses short in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're not catching up for 4 or 5 years, they think. Even if we build at the pace that we're building, because there's such a lag in inventory of new homes. Back in the, early 2010, 11, 2012, builders stopped building because after the last bubble in 08. Mm-hmm. And so the builders didn't really ramp up until like 2019, then COVID hit, and then they were building for the last couple years. But they got so far behind because you got all these, millennials, but plus like the next generation, they're all ready to buy. They're graduating from high school, they're graduating from college, and they're ready to buy, and the houses aren't there. And so they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to live somewhere. So they're going to rent.
They have to, yeah.
So it's not a bad play to buy rentals if you could still buy them right now.
And on that note, for those watching, what are the best practices for rentals? Like, what are the best things to do when you have a rental? What I mean by that is, like, for example, you don't like using grass for rentals. You like rocking them, cover the dirt, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, no one's going to take care of your house like you will take care of your house. So try to keep it basic and so less maintenance for you as the landlord, but also the tenant's not going to take care of it. Plus, most tenants don't want to water your grass
Mm-hmm.
and keep it pretty. I mean, there's some out there that really will take care
pride
of
in it,
yeah,
yeah.
they'll take care of your property, but a majority of them will not.
Mm-hmm.
So we see that. Yeah, so keep them low maintenance. We try to make sure that nothing major is broken on them, but you don't want to go in there and make them super pretty because you just don't know your tenant. That's the scary part about being a landlord.
Yeah.
That's your money, that's your house, and somebody could wreck it. That would be devastating.
Yeah.
And it's different in every state. Like in Arizona, it's probably easier to get rid of them than in California. It's a huge battle.
Oh man, we have buddies. We have investor friends that are in California. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I just saw somebody on the news moved into an Airbnb.
Yeah.
I think they've been in it for 100 days.
Mm.
Like they rented the Airbnb for one night. Legitly rented it. Went online, rented it through Airbnb.
And they stay there for 100 days.
They've been in there for 100 days. Look that up. it's
That's wild, man.
And they can't get them out. California, it's like they have, like, the tenants have the upper hand there.
Yeah.
We're in Arizona, we're a landlord friendly.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, here's the contract. Here's the constable.
10-day notice to vacate.
Come on, geek.
Yeah. You failure to pay. I mean, yeah, it's much easier to do business here, but it's still, it's still an asset that you don't want anybody destroying because check this out. We collect deposits all the time. You take a security deposit and say you rent it out for $1,500. We take a $1,500 security deposit.
Right.
$1,500. Like we just talked about what it costs to remodel a house. So $1,500, like.
Yeah, I really hope they don't wreck it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not going to do nothing.
1,500 ain't gonna get you far.
I mean, that's going to be like a window and maybe one door.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, no, you're right.
installation. I mean, so they bust all your doors. They put 5 holes in in each room.
You're getting 5% back
Oh yeah.
of your investment with that.
Yeah, it's awful. So you really have to renting to people is not for everybody. There's a little bit of a gamble. There's risk.
Mhm.
Definitely risk. The
Yeah.
reward is awesome.
Yeah,
when
definitely.
it works.
And a lot of people look good on paper, and then
Yo, it looks sexy. It's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, you have that many rentals. Oh yeah, I do.
no. I'm saying look.
Applicants.
Yeah,
oh,
applicants.
the applicants.
Tenants.
Yeah, I'm saying applicants look good on paper.
Yeah. You never
Put on
know.
a good show. Yeah.
You never know.
Oh, yeah, they could be the sweetest thing. Oh, yeah, no, of course. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, of course. And then as soon as it's legit, like it's, boom, you're our tenant. Hey, this needs to be fixed. Hey, this, like they completely changed. Now they're like very, and I don't want to say that. They turn rude or like they have no
Demanding.
patience.
Yeah.
Very commanding and no patience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like, what happened here? And like,
That door squeaking. I want it replaced.
I'm like, man, dude, that's a door. Like, come on, dude, it's just the way it is. Just we could WD-40 or something, you know?
it
But,
needs to be replaced, Felix.
oh man,
Yeah.
You know what? Just replace the whole house.
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah,
they
at the
start
beginning
calling you
they're
for
like, yeah,
everything.
no, I'll do whatever. I'll take care of this place. Don't worry about it. Yeah, if you need me to sign, yeah, I just need a place. And then once they move in, they're like, the lock on the handle doesn't latch correctly all the way. And you're like, well, just give it a little push. It'll do it. No, I think it needs to be replaced. Okay. Or, you know what I mean?
yeah.
We obviously, we're going to take care of the problem.
Mhm.
But I mean, I'm at my house and my wife's like, "Hey, Anthony, this needs to be done," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take care of it." And a week goes by, no problem. But our tenants call up, and I'm like, "I'll be right over there."
Anthony, 1 hour later, he's on the couch.
Yeah,
Right? They send us a message, and like, let's say I'm on a call or something. Then they call me, and I was like, I sent you a message, you didn't respond. Like, what is this? And I look, I was like, dude, you just barely sent this like 5 minutes ago, and now that I'm reading it, it's not even a high urgency thing. Like this is something you can take care of yourself,
yeah.
you know? And then they're like, oh, I don't know how you do business, man, but I've been in many rentals before and I've never had this issue. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what type of rentals have you been in?
Right.
The problem, the crazy thing about it is that we have a totally different outlook on rentals. So most people don't know this listening in, but we take the approach that we like to stay a little under, where instead of pushing the rental market, we're always a little bit under. So we're like, hey, listen.
For what? The rental
Yeah,
rate?
I'm
The
always
rate
telling Anthony, no, you got to charge more. Anthony's like, Felix, calm down. Calm down.
Yeah, we do our numbers. If it makes sense, it's like,
Yeah.
I'll give you the best deal we can give you.
Yeah.
And in exchange, it's you're getting great value. We're going to provide the service. In exchange, bear with us a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something I've learned from you is not to rock the boat. Like if we think market rents are, let's say, 1,500, I mean, give the other person some slack. Give them a deal, and
Hopefully they'll take care. Yeah, they'll take care
we
of your
scratch
place.
each other's back. Yeah,
And we kind of tell them, we shake their hand and be like, hey, listen, we hope you really enjoy your place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We basically don't say like, hey, this is under market rent, but we basically say, hey, this is, hopefully this is a good deal for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of our place.
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't always work out like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, and we don't want to scare people out of doing rentals either, because we wouldn't have them if it wasn't a good investment. It's just
It comes with the territory.
it comes
it's
with
work.
the territory. There's some tenants who take really good care of the property, and they're really
they're perfect. Want
real
them to
nice,
stay
real
there.
kind. We would want to stay them. How long? You want to stay longer? Say less.
Perfect.
Yeah.
In the end, they're going to cost you less. I mean, yeah, they're going to cost you less than somebody who's actually paying, but then, like, they're a huge mess, or they're wasting your time, and time is money, or, like, they're having you actually change a bunch of things, or, like, they trash the place, or they cause problems.
Yeah, I find it wild when, like, these people, I say these people, we have renters. not
Tenants.
Tenants. And they're, like, hundreds of dollars under market rent.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, excuse me, I heard a squeaking, coming from the mailbox. And I'm like, the mailbox is outside. Yeah, it just needs to be secured. Can you do that tomorrow? And we're like,
No.
wait a second. We're going to send a handyman over there. That's going to cost us $50. You're like $250 a month under rent.
Under rent.
We're saving you like, $2,500 and $3,000 a year on rent, and you're going to kill us on just nickel and diming us together. It's
You don't believe that stuff until you get the call.
yeah.
And you're like, this isn't true. This can't be real. No, they're being for real.
Yeah. And sometimes they're like worried about it. They're like, oh, well, this, I don't want it to get any worse. And they're legitly like, nervous about taking care of your property. That's a different story.
Yeah, I know that's different.
Yeah. But it's, being a landlord, people like, oh, how many doors you got? I got 150. Along with that comes with a measure of risk and a measure of headache.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So,
a lot of money going into property management.
Yeah.
Is there a certain point where like the percentage, based on ratios, like it wouldn't make sense to have that many, because then in ratios you'd be just as fine with less.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think that has to do with like the age of them.
Okay.
Like I would always opt to have rentals that are newer with less problems, like less things to go wrong, like ACs, or because those are things that you need to have. I mean, if an AC goes out, you got to fix that for your tenant.
Yep.
It's a necessity. Their stove goes out, if their roof is leaking, you need to fix that, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, we look at those factors, right, Bailey?
Yeah. If the property is newer, it catches more of our eye than if it's older from a rentals perspective, because it's more likely that there's less issues with it. Not necessarily, but it's more likely that there's less issues with it.
Yeah, recently we sold some off because we're like, let's sell a couple while the market, we don't know, it's a little shaky.
Mm-hmm.
So sell it off, and we kept the newer ones, right?
Right. Yeah, we kept the new ones.
Yeah. So, or the remodeled ones we kept,
Yeah.
the ones that are all fixed up, keep
Yep.
them.
Mm-hmm.
If we know we replaced, or we updated them. And that's the other thing. Let's go to that. Rentals, and in a lot of people, they don't do nothing. They've been a rental, like we talk to them all the time. It's like, how long have you had this for a rental? Like
20 years.
Since 1984.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so what does the kitchen look like? It's original.
Yeah.
How's the AC? It's
It's working, I think.
sometimes.
I haven't
works.
gotten a call.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, when was the last time you
Sally,
got-
get the hammer, bang on that, and that compressor. It'll start up.
you see duct tape to the AC in the roof?
Oh man.
Well, yeah, we secured it. I
And then
think
they
10
wonder
years
why they
ago.
have problems, and then they're like, "Man, I'm tired of being a landlord."
Mhm.
Well, have you updated anything in the last 10 years?
Nope.
Only when it breaks.
Yeah. If you don't appreciate it, it doesn't appreciate.
Yeah, I think there is when people say they say
What did the people say?
the people say those people. No, the people say, like if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so those people, you buy their house and they're like, you're like, you didn't fix anything. It
Exactly.
hadn't broke. It's
not-
working.
yeah, it's not broken, but it's barely working, and
Yeah.
you're gonna have to
Yeah.
fix it.
I
in,
read
like-
some of the notes. And I'm like, okay, so this house is old.
Yeah.
It's original.
Yeah.
Then you tell them like, no, it needs this much in repairs. No, it don't.
And they're like, that's in great shape.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Formica's like built to last forever.
Mhm.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And what always ends up happening is tell them, okay, yeah, no problem. Put it on the market. Put it for what you want it.
Mhm.
It doesn't sell.
Right.
Then they come back to us, and now we got less that we can give.
Yeah. No, it's like, no, it doesn't have carpet. We put, it's all tile. You go there and the little 4x4 tiles from like 1970.
Yeah, it's, the ground's missing. It looks like,
The grout's like 2 inches thick and the tile's 4 inches. I mean, it's
They're like,
nasty.
no, man, this gotta go. If we put this on the MLS, it's bad. It's no good,
Yeah.
So we gotta tell them.
Yeah, but they're starting to see that.
Yeah, no, they are. They are. It's taking them a while. Sucks for them though. It sucks. It because now they're gonna come back and they're gonna get less.
Yeah. Yep. Right now I would be unloading my properties if it's in bad shape and you don't have any money to repair them.
We genuinely want to help. We want to help them.
Yeah, we'll tell them the truth. It's like, the truth is, right now in this environment, that property is not going to sell for.
And that's why they always end up coming back, because we are telling the truth.
Yep.
We're telling them how it is. We're putting everything on the table. We're fully transparent. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's fine. They come back. They always come back.
Hmm. Yeah, we tell them, I mean, we're in the business to making money. You want to sell for the highest price. We want to buy for the lowest.
Mhm.
But this is what we do.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
got to be a win-win for both sides.
Yeah, and
Agreed.
that's our business model.
Yeah, like I get the difference, somebody wanting to sell their house either for bad memories or whatever the reason is. They want to get closer to family, but they can't because it's not going to pass through a conventional loan. Needs a new AC, shingles are missing, and it's just 3 shingles that are missing, but they hear that and they're like, oh my goodness, 3 shingles are missing. I got to do this, AC unit. They don't have the funds to do that. So they're stuck with the property.
Mhm.
They can't do anything about it. They got to stick with it because they can't put it on the MLS. Unless they want a cash offer, which they can, but usually, they want a conventional loan. And that's where we come in. And that's where we can help them.
Yeah, and if, I mean, those are situations where like tired landlords or homeowners, et cetera, though for investors or starting out investors out there, from what I've learned is the reoccurring theme is just to make sure you take care of your property as much as you can. It's a win-win all around. If you want to refinance or sell it down the road, you're not going to have any issues as long as you take care of it.
Yeah, if you take care of it, boom, you can put it on the market. It's going to go through with a conventional loan. You're not stuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's an exit strategy. There's a way out. If you don't take care of it, you're going to go through consequences and you're not going to be able to sell it.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah, you can't take from the property. You got to put some money back into it. It's
Mhm.
an investment.
Yeah, how often should they be updating things?
Well, they should have you should have a schedule. Like, every 5 years, take a look at the major components. When you have extra money and say you haven't had major repairs and you've been able to put away a couple thousand, see what you can do with $1,000. If you want to leave yourself $1,000 in the bank account, and then what can I update with for $1,000?
Mm-hmm.
And try to, as long as you can keep that, kind of updated.
Yeah.
And then I'm a firm believer, there's a point on every rental that you sell it and you either go buy a newer property, take the cash out, after you depreciate it, because the government only allows you to depreciate it for so long, so many years. And once you've depleted your depreciation, then you're going to start paying a bunch of taxes on it. So you got to buy another property or maybe 2 properties, out of that, or maybe 3, with that money. So, yeah, you keep the property up as nice, and then you have to make the decision. So that's why not all investors are successful, because you have to sit back and look at your portfolio and say, okay, like, which properties might I be staring down some major remodels? Do I want to put the money into it right now, or do I just want to sell it, let somebody else take it?
You don't want it becoming a burden.
Right. You don't want it to become a burden. Don't become a financial liability. Yep. So you have to look at that, and that's why you have to have a professional. People look at real estate agents. Not all real estate agents are just out to get your money. There's there's a lot of good real estate agents that will help you game plan. They'll be like, this is what I would do.
Because they're looking for that relationship. They want that good relationship.
Yeah, they want to make the sale. They want you to list the property with them, but maybe listen to them. Maybe they have something good to say. Maybe they're telling you like, hey, this is what I would do if I was you. And look at what they're saying, and you might go, wow, yeah, you know what? It's time for me to get rid of this property.
Now you have an individual who can help you out. It's like having another tool in your toolbox. And now if, again, you look at your portfolio again down the years and you're like, you know what, this property, it might become a burden. It's probably time to sell it. Boom. You already got your agent. You already know who's going to do that for you. You already know who's going to help you out.
And that agent knows the property.
And they know you. And then this boom, 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 boom. Everything gets like fast-tracked. Everything's more efficient. Everything's faster. Yeah, definitely. You should have a professional.
Yeah, maybe you don't get top dollar for that. Maybe you're like, well, I could fix it up and get this amount of money, or I could just sell it as is or on the market for this. And there's different peaks. Like we were calling a lot of, I'm a real estate agent as well, so we calling a lot of clients and being like, hey, we bought that 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It's probably a good time to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so with that money, you could take it or you can just go buy another property.
Yeah.
So
bulls get fat, pigs get slaughtered.
That's right. I was going to say something. So for people that have rentals, right? And like, let's say, for example, everybody should, when they rent, they should take some money out and put it to the side for any future repairs or issues. Kind of, it's like 200 to 300 taken out almost right there.
Yeah, I like to do, we kind of do, the precedence is like if we're renting it out for $1,000 on a like say it's a fourplex, I would do $100 a door. So it's 4 doors. I'd want $400 over my mortgage or over my debt service and expenses. So it's like your expenses are $1,000 a month per door. Okay, or $1,000 a month for the whole property. Then I would want to have at least $400 a month, per $100 a door, $400 excess. So you're putting away $400 a month
for any future repairs or anything.
Yeah, so
or any hard times.
Yeah, $4,800 a year you'd have.
And that is huge.
But if it's a single family home, Felix, I do 200.
Okay.
Because you could have more. It's a bigger property, more problems. So you'd want $200 a minimum.
So this is what's pretty cool. Let's say they have year contracts, right? And at the end of that year, the tenant was a great tenant. They don't want to be there no more, or you want to up your prices or whatever it is. If you allocate $200, just $200 on the side that you discount and you keep in case of anything, at the end of that yearly lease, you now have $2,400 that you can use to upgrade something in the house. And then you can just upgrade things like that. If there's no need for something to be, if the tenant's a great tenant, then you can update as you go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so you can either change out a water heater, or you can say, you know what, it's in pretty great shape. Like I walked the property. I'll do that maybe 2 or 3 years. You get away with that. Now you have like $6,000 to $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
So
$7,200. Yeah. Just
so,
with two, just by.
And now if your AC goes out,
boom,
covered.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's if you save it, if you save a chunk, a portion, you'll be in the green. Because it sounds good, when nothing goes wrong and you get to save that money. Though something might go wrong, and you have a
You have the
cushion.
funds for
you
it.
have the funds for it. You don't got to worry about it.
Right.
Agreed.
Speaking of tenants, I mean, we're inside our office in the studio. We got
Yeah.
a tenant that's, I think he's here.
Yeah.
So, somebody's got to take care of him, but
We'll probably do it after this.
okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, sounds good. What was I gonna say? Well, yeah, that's pretty much rentals. Take some money out on the side. It'll come in handy. It'll make a cushion. It'll make a green zone, and it'll allow you to make an upgrade if needed. Rentals right now looking kind of juicy because the interest rates are pretty high. Buyers that want to be homeowners are probably gonna have to rent because the interest rates are so high. So it's good to have a rental available for those types of people that can't afford. And then if you do lock up a property, keep the mentality that it's probably going to be a full gut remodel. Right now, Lipstick isn't cutting it because the property needs to look really good in order for it to move.
Yep. That's 100%. In this market, it's got to be move-in ready, 2023.
Looking hella nice.
Sell for top dollar.
So
Real
top dollar.
nice.
Still in this market.
Yeah.
In a slower market, still will sell for top dollar because there's nothing out there. Low inventory.
You got to make it look good. You can't just slap some lipstick on it.
Yep. Got to look pretty.
Unless it really just needs lipstick, like it's already been upgraded and it's a good looking home.
Oh, that's different.
That's different, but come on. You got to make a full gut remodel. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, you got to make it. You got to go all the way.
Perfect. Well, can you think of anything else?
No, I think we hit all the rental requirements.
If you guys have any questions or you want us to go into something in more detail that wasn't very clear, we'll go ahead and have a QA at the end of the podcast, either on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you're at. And you can go ahead and put questions there.
Yep.
And then we can go in more detail about that. So we're Next Level Home Buyers. We don't buy properties.
We
buy problems. All right. Oof.